Batman, Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader Deluxe Edition. I got this on sale on Cheap Graphic Novels, and I just saw that sale and was like, oh, I'm missing this from my Batman collection. I guess they were ending the Detective Comics line for a bit. Just restart with an all-new #1 collector's edition until we renumber it again. They were doing that gimmick. I didn't know this at the time it came out. What happened as a reader at this point when these came out in single issues, and I was reading Batman and all that back then at that point, was like they just kind of stopped the main storyline, which I was very excited about. It was after some of the Bruce Wayne murderer storylines, which were really good storylines. It was maybe a couple years after that. I can't remember exactly when. And then this just happened, and it just like it started in on this as Batman's dead, and you're like, what the heck is happening here? This would have worked better, I think, as a mini series that didn't have like didn't just stop the main line and then suddenly shock with this, because it's like it is a Batman the End story, right? They have like the Spider-Man the End stories in the Marvel universe, and they do one miniseries of that, and you know what you're getting into in that when you just get a random comic on the main line and it's just like Batman's dead. It's kind of weird. Now the deluxe edition is pretty nice, and you get some cool stuff through here. Neil Gaiman wrote all this. Andy Kubert did the deal, and you get a whole synopsis of what he was intending to do, which was Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow was the Alan Moore kind of Superman sort of deal, which was a big deal, and he was trying to give you that vibe of this. Now, the first issue is all just different people recounting Batman's death and who he was, and they all had like different versions of who he was. And like some of them, like as I said, like reading single issues, you're like, what the heck's happening here? This is nonsensical. As if you read it as like a The End Elseworld story, it kind of works a lot better here. But it's really pedantic, and it's a lot of like positing like, who is Batman actually? Like it all depends on the eye of the beholder. You know, it's very existential drivel in my opinion, and this is kind of what Neil Gaiman does a lot of the time. I don't really particularly like his writing. Andy Kubert. His art's beautiful throughout all this though, so it is like nice to look at the very least. And like one of them has like, you know, Bruce Wayne's just crazy and he thinks he's Batman, but he's not really Batman. It was all a bunch of nonsense stuff. In the second issue, he realizes he's in like a end of his life kind of setup here, where he's checking into a near-death experience. Like he's talking with his mom about things, and he's like recounting his backstory and all that. And then it ends up copy pasting that little kid's book. Good night, Alfred. Good night, Boy Wonder. Good night, Joker. Good night, Jim Gordon. You know, and you know, they reference that, but meh, I hated it. And then eventually, like, he's reborn as a baby because Batman never truly dies, right? So blah, couldn't handle that. I thought it was extremely trying to be clever for the sake of clever, pedantic, annoying story. Now you get a bunch of backup stories that are Neil Gaiman backup Batman stuff. This is a Arkham Asylum set up for a while. The next one is like a bunch of media people. They're going to interview the Riddler, I guess. Or not, I'm not there yet. I'm sorry. This is a Arkham Asylum second one where it's Poison Ivy trying to trick a guy into letting her out. And the final one is a media sort of deal. Batman's mad about it, and they get this like secret origin of the Riddler from his perspective. So the backups are not the best either. And you know, I don't know. It's nice to have for the Batman collection, but I wouldn't read this again. So I didn't think this was great. The art was pretty good on that Andy Kubert deal. The backups art was not all the greatest. Those were 80s backup stories. And man, I'll call this like a 6 out of 10 overall, which 7 is my normal one, which was kind of my average baseline. So not my favorite, typical for what I read of Neil Gaiman. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.